Hello everyone, this is Fabriello and welcome to a new discussion video. And today I'm going to talk about the latest game that I finished, which is Legend of Heroes: Prophecy of the Moonlight Witch for the PSP, released by Falcom, originally for the PC in 1994, then re-released always in Japan for the Sega Saturn, PlayStation 1, PC, later versions, and finally, just recently, thanks to Namco Bandai, it was published also in the West in 2006 for the PSP. This game, Moonlight Witch, is the first entry of the so-called Gaga trilogy, a series of course, 3 games, as the name, made by Falcom as a sort of the evolution of the Legend of Heroes series, their historical brand, together with Ease. And it was the first time, for what I know, that Falcom created a trilogy, a series of games with the same name in the same timeline. And that formula proved to be a huge success for them, and it has become since then the staple for Neon Falcom to make trilogies. It's thanks to the Gaga trilogy that Trails in the Sky was created in a way, at least the formula. So of trilogies, that is typical Falcon stuff. But let's talk about Moonlight Witch because we're also going to um, name Trails in the Sky quite often, naturally. So recently, I was playing this game. It took me about, I'll say, a, a month or something to finish it. It was not particularly long. There is no timing, but I believe it was around 30 hours, something like that, maybe a bit more. And I was in Toronto recently, and that is when I beat this game. Because I was almost at the end, I could feel the ending was closing in. And when I finished, I started to think about this and making comparison, of course, with Trails in the Sky and my conclusion is that I really like this game, but there is quite a few things that I want to talk about. The basic story of the game is about these two kids, Jurio and Christina, the main characters. You progressively meet other characters in the game. There's Lodi, Goose, Shirley, Alf, all of them, for a total of 10 playable characters, which is pretty good for the time. And at the beginning of the game, Jurio and Chris start start a tradition of their village, which is a pilgrimage to different shrines in the land. It's a sort of rite of passage for like entering their maturity or something like that. It's a very important tradition. It has a very old and important um, origin in the story of this world, apparently. So during their travels, they reach these shrines, and they started to see um, menacing uh, visions and prophecies about the future, um, and they are progressively getting involved in these visions. And there is a connection with this character called the Moonlight Witch, who did a sort of same pilgrimage. Um, oh, someone text me. Who did the same pilgrimage years ago before them, and you progressively discover the connection between these visions, the Moonlight Witch, their roles, and the roles of both Jurio and Chris and their friends in what is going to happen to the world. I'm not going to spoil the story to you because let me tell you this. I believe that this game might fool you with its really cute looks and with very bright and shining colors. It might look like a very um, kids game in a way. You look at this and say, oh, this is a game for kids, a really kiddie game. It's not like that. And that is a thing that I love about Falcom games, because it was the same thing as when I played Trails in the Sky. And it's, especially regarding the story, it's what I call a very strong Grandia-ish feeling. Even though technically Moonlight Witch is older than Grandia, so but I played Grandia before actually. So what what I mean with Grandia feeling is the fact that apparently, and it's one of the things that I love the most about Grandia, it's one of the things that made me love Grandia so much, is the fact that the story at the beginning and apparently seems very innocent. It's not seems, it's very innocent at the beginning. Like Grandia, it's just about two kids dreaming of having big adventures. This was the same with Moonlight Witch. These two friends starting a pilgrimage and traveling the land and everything. Oh my god, the siren. And the same with Transness kind of way. Start as a very, I thought at least, was a very innocent beginning. Just Estelle and Joshua wanting to became to become uh, bracers. I mean, then the thing that I love is that progressively the story gets more and more mature, more and more dark in a way. Look at Tres in the Sky. Not going to tell what happened, but look at that. Look at Grandia. I mean, it's very innocent at the beginning, but it progressively becomes such a serious story, such a great and epic story. And I don't like to use the word epic easily, so... And the same was with Moonlight Witch. It's true that it starts with just these two friends having to do their pilgrimage. It's very colorful, it's very bright, but the story gets very serious towards the end. At the point that there's not just the fate of not one word, but two words is at stake. Just saying this, because you're going to discover what it's the meaning of two words by playing the game. And I love that. I love this thing, starting innocent and progressively going for much serious stuff. That was a great feature that I welcomed so much back playing this after I played Trails in the Sky, because I felt the same thing. To me, both Trails in the Sky and now this had so much in common with Grandia, and that's awesome. As I said, Grandia is one of my favorite games of all time. So having a sort of familiar feeling was great by playing the story. So to me, the best feature of Moonlight Witch was obviously the story, but I love the graphics of this game. It's not as good as Trails in the Sky, naturally, because it's an older game. It's also not a remake. I believe that it looked the same on PC or Sega Saturn or whatever. But there's something so special about these kind of graphics. It's like the 16-bit sprites. They look so gorgeous. I don't know what it is, but I just love it. Probably because I grew up during those days playing Super Nintendo, and this looks like a Super Nintendo RPG, and I love it. And also the music was surprisingly, I thought it was not as memorable as other Falcon game. I was kind of surprised. It was good. I mean, I'm not saying that it wasn't, but I found it not as memorable. Maybe because I didn't pay too much attention. Maybe because it wasn't that uh, over the top like usual with Falcon games. I mean, when you play in ease, you know that the music is going to be great, so you pay more attention to the music, and then you're like, oh my god, the music is so good. With Trails in the Sky, from the title screen, I was like, oh god, the music is so beautiful. With this, I was like, the music is good, but I was more focused on the story. So it was good, but I don't remember it very well. It's kind of weird. But at the same time, I just looked this morning on eBay. It's like, I would probably like the soundtrack of Moonlight Witch, because I kind of remember that it was good, but I don't know. I really don't know what happened, but from the technical point of view, this game was very good, especially for its time. I think it was fantastic. And as I said, I love the 16-bit graphics. It was gorgeous to look at this game. I love like the dialogues, the drawing of the characters was fantastic. I love when they draw Chris or Julio or the others. Technically, from a technical point of view, this game is, I love it. Then let's talk about the only complaint that I have, because as I said, I think this game has a great story, and I cannot wait to play the other two games of the Gaga trilogy. I already ordered Tear of Vermilion, because, as you know, I call this game Legend of Heroes Moonlight Witch. Technically, it's called Legend of Heroes 2 Prophecy of the Moonlight Witch, because Namco Bandai kind of screw up the way they deliver the game, the way the publishing with the chronology, because this is the first game of the series. Tear of Vermilion, it's prequel. I don't remember how many years before Moonlight Witch takes place. And for this reason, Namco Bandai released Tear of Vermilion as the first one. These are the first Legend of Heroes games that were released in the West. So they call Tear of Vermilion Legend of Heroes 1, Tear of Vermilion, 2, Moonlight Witch, 3, the Song of... what was it called, the last one? I don't even remember now. So it's all screwed up, because from what I know, Moonlight Witch is the first one, Tear of Vermilion is a prequel, the third one is a sequel of the prequel, so it's a kind of weird order. But the only thing that, as I said, not disappointed me, because overall I love this game. And I'm going to talk about the battle system later. But let's talk, since I said the story, I liked it very much, it was very interesting, the Grandia feeling and everything. Let's talk about the characters, and the only complaint that I had with this game, that didn't ruin the overall experience, it didn't disappoint me, but it's the thing that I say, I was hoping for something more from a Falcom game, but the characters, it's not the disappointment or whatever. I like the characters of this game. We got 10 playable characters, many more than you can interact with. The main characters, Julio and Chris, are very likable characters. I cannot say anything wrong with them. I mean, they're really likable, really, in a way, you can say they're kind of typical JRPG anime characters, but there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, they're young, innocent heroes and something like that, childhood friends. I think you'll never get tired of this thing, because they're kind of a staple in Japanese animation and gaming, so there was nothing wrong with it. Then you got other characters. For example, looking behind, there are some of them. For example, there's Alf. There's my personal favorite characters were the two thieves, Goose and Shirley. They were, especially Goose, was very funny. It was a sort of Oliver. You can see so many things in this game that were used and took as inspiration for Tres in the Sky in this game. At least I thought. I mean, Goose was so similar to Oliver in a way, and that's awesome because Oliver is a fantastic character. Goose was so much fun when I started to use them. It was, yes, I can use Goose. That's awesome. And there's Lodi and others like what was it called? Old guy, Duzel or something like that. Like Stella is also cool characters, and another one. And there's this Philly. So there are 10 playable characters, but there is one. Let's say I have one complaint with the characters. I mean, overall they're nice. They're kind of interesting. There's kind of a lot of them. I mean, for a 16-bit game, 10 characters is a good number, I believe. The problem is, strangely enough, for a Falcom game, I didn't find a lot of development in the characters and interaction between them. And it might be surprising because maybe that's the thing. I played Trace in the Sky before, of course. So after you saw the amazing development of Estelle and Joshua, playing a Falcom games without a character development, you cannot have something that good again, but almost as good. It's not disappointing, but it was like, oh, wow, if only they did something like that. I mean, just the two main characters, Julia and Chris. As I said, they're lovable characters. I like them. They're nice, they're funny, but there wasn't enough development. There weren't developed enough, in my opinion. And and especially the interaction between the two of them. I mean, I was expecting something more between them. For example, in Trace in the Sky, I really liked when Estelle was jealous, for example, when Joshua um, was nice or other girls were flirting with him. In here, you got a moment like that was, oh, there it is. That was what I'm waiting for, but it lasted for like 3 seconds. And when Jurio and Philly uh, meet and they're really close to each other, really, you can see that she's always obviously has a crush on him. And you can see that as Estelle, that Chris doesn't like that very much, but that's it. It was for a brief moment. I mean, I was like, I wanted something more, not necessarily of romance and stuff like that. I'm not talking about that. Why not? But more development. And these are the main characters. So I was expecting something more. For example, Julio is not explored very well. Chris, I was expecting between the two of them. I prefer Chris. She's a little more energetic in a way. Julio is it complains a bit too much. It's obviously the victim of her, but in a good way between friends. I don't know. It's a bit cliche, I think, but he's a good character. I don't mind. He's a decent hero. Um, but I prefer others. For example, to Julie. For example, I prefer Lodi. He has more of a story in a way. But then when you really start liking, he started to disappear. So that was the only problem. But for example, Chris, I was expecting something much bigger from her. In the game, there is all a sort of legends around witches. Hence, the Moonlight Witch, she has a very important part in the story, even though you never see her. So basically, I started to believe, I can say it's not a spoiler because I was wrong. I started to believe that there was going to be an entire part of the game, maybe the final part of the game, when you discover that Chris was actually like a descendant of the witches. I was wrong. So I was kind of bummed by that. I was like, oh, that could be a good idea. Like, because she, like, I can say this, it's not big. It doesn't ruin the story, but she, towards the end of the game, she receives the staff of the Moonlight Witch. So it's like, that would be perfect. She is a witch, actually. She is the descendant of a witch. No, she wasn't. So it was like, oh, what the hell? But overall, the characters are good, but there's not enough development. Like, towards the end of the game again, there is the old swordsman and his nephew. They're introduced just for that, and you use him for the final battle of the game and everything. And I was like, who is this guy? I would have preferred someone else, like Goose or Oliver, or Lodi. So, more development, but we'll see Tear Vermilion and the other one. It's not a big complaint. It's something that you feel missing playing the game. I mean, you are like, this is a great game. I love the story. The story is very good. It's getting better by the minute. But it's missing a fundamental part, more character development. And this is a Falcon game, so that's the only thing that wasn't perfect. I mean, this is not a perfect game by any means. It's a very good one, definitely. I loved it. But I would like a lot more character development. Because even if the game is longer, who cares? The more is better in RPG in a way. So that's the only complaint that I have. If you can call it a complaint, it was something like a feeling that something was missing. That's the thing. It's not a complaint. Because the characters are good, they're lovable, you like them. Towards the end, you really are attached to Julio, Chris, and the others. Even Stella, you met her, was like, not really the end, but a little before the end. She is kind of cool. She is like a Robin Hood kind of character in a way, but you like her because she's explored a bit more than, for example, the Druzo. I don't remember his name, but the swordman. So the only small issue that I have with the game is the lack of enough character development. Let's move on to combat. I liked it very much because it's the same thing of Trails in the Sky. It's very, very similar. You can see where the combat for Trails in the Sky is coming from. Basically, it's a turn-based with strategic elements. There is a kind of grid. You can deploy your party. You can choose who to attack, where to attack, combine forces on one. I mean, it is very much like Trace in the Sky. And one thing that surprised me when I was looking for this game, I was asking around some information about it, and people started to say, well, this is not a very good game. It's kind of a Pokemon game. I was like, what? That I didn't expect that. So is there a Pokemon element to this game? Not really. I mean, there is a small, really small part of the game that at the beginning of the game, you receive a pet, a small dog at least. I don't know, there's others, but you can receive a small dog, and it's actually very helpful because it finds potions and stuff like that. And sometimes you just have to feed him or to praise him, and that's it. You can ignore him if you want. So if there is a Pokemon element, it's really like 1% of the game. I mean, it's really a small part. So I was surprised. I mean, Pokemon? What? So combat system, you can really see. So not only the combat, but a lot of elements. You can see where Trace in the Sky is coming from. But that is the thing that I found closer. It was the combat. I think that's basically the same. I mean, where it started, Trace in the Sky perfected it naturally because they started from somewhere. But this was where Falcom started with the Trails in the Sky, the Trails of mechanics. Overall, I think this is a really good game. I was really into the story. I really liked how it evolved, how it was becoming much more serious chapter after chapter, because it's divided into chapters like Trails in the Sky. Shorter ones, but it has like 7 or 8 chapters, including like the introduction, the prologue, and the epilogue and the conclusion. But it's a very Trails in the Sky-esque game, and I think that's the reason why many people played it. If you didn't discover this game before, um, many people, I believe, did what I did. I played Trails in the Sky. I friggin' love that game, so I say I want to play the other Legend of Heroes games. So I played Moonlight Witch, and I liked it very much. And I can highly recommend Moonlight Witch. I cannot wait to play Tear of Vermilion now to understand more the connection with Gagars, because there is this name in the game, and that mm, is used to call the entire trilogy. So it must be important, and we'll see if in um, Tear of Vermilion will be explained better, because I'm very curious to play the prequel. And so, but if you play this game first and then Trails in the Sky, wow, I think what a jump. But also, you can see, I think, so many similarities between these two games, and I think it's kind of obvious. Not simply because it's from the same company, but you can see that that Falcom knew all the strength of Moonlight Witch and the Gaga games, and they used them again and perfected it with Trails in the Sky and second chapter and the third. And speaking of, I'm still waiting for the friggin' second chapter. I really want to play that game. So I think this could be it for my discussion on Legend of Heroes Moonlight Witch, Prophecy of the Moonlight Witch, a great RPG for the PSP, first of the Gaga trilogy. I highly recommend this game actually because it is really good. It has a really good story. But I think the story is the strongest point of the game. It could have used more character development, but we'll see the rest of what the rest of the trilogy can actually shows because I'm really curious now to know more about this world since it's the only Falcom trilogy that we have complete that we have here in the West. So a great game, a great RPG, and again, I really recommend it because don't let its innocence fool you because it's just a part of it. And it's, I think, I strongly believe it's part of its charms. It's part of the charm of this kind of game. They look innocent, but it's just a facade. It's just a small part because they progressively got more serious. And it's a good evolution, especially if it's done well, like these games. Because I was surprised but how good that evolution was in Moonlight Witch. It was perfect in Grandia. It was amazing in Tours of the Sky. But this is older than both of them, so it was done so well. As I say, the stake of two worlds, not one, was the fate of two worlds, not one, was at stake at the end of this game. I mean, that's kind of impressive. Buy this game. It's not very expensive. Play it because I think it's a very good um, traditional JRPG and highly recommend it. So this could be it for my discussion on it. Hope you guys like it. Like always, thanks for watching and take care.